I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is May 16th, 2016, and in this video I'll be going over how to install osTicket 1.9.12 on Ubuntu 14.04. Now also with this, there's a lot of commands on that issue, and I may not put them all in the show notes, so I'm going to put a link up right here to a blog post I did, which is going to cover the same material here, and it might be easier to copy and paste some of the commands from there versus in the show notes. Okay, osTicket runs on PHP, so the first thing I'm going to do here is install Apache and PHP. So what I have here right now, just to prove it, is I have a Ubuntu 14.04 basic box here, and there I am, 14.04. I haven't really installed anything on this, it's just bare bones right now. So the first thing I want to do is do a sudo apt-get update to kind of update everything. I'll let that run. Okay, and then a sudo apt-get upgrade. Just kind of upgrade everything so a good, really good known starting point. Okay, now let's install Apache. So sudo apt-get, and you can put a -y for yes, so you say yes to everything you want to install just to make life quicker. Apache 2-npm worker lib apache 2-mod-fastcgi php 5-fpm php5 php, let me do that, so I gotta start another line, php5-mysql php5-imap and php5-gd and unzip. Yeah, okay, that should do it. I guess I failed to mention also you need MySQL. I'll do it later here, but you're also going to install MySQL. So osTicket relies on, I guess you don't need Apache per se, but it makes life easier, but PHP and MySQL. Oh, well, it helps to actually do install. Okay. How about that? That might work. Sudo apt-get install. There we go. So run that and let those all install. Okay, so now you need to enable some of these mods. So you do a sudo php5 nmod imap. That's what commands you need to run. Sudo, and then I'll restart restart Apache to take advantage of that. Change. So let's restart it. There we go. And then I need to actually edit a file. So this will be fun. So sudo vi, I use vi, etc apache to conf-available php5-fpm.conf. That's right. And it's not. Oh wait, no, it should be empty, right? Okay, then you got to place the following in it. This is one of those things where you may want to. I'll try to put some of this in the show notes, but you may have to go refer to my blog post. Let me insert it correctly. There we go. So you can just insert this. It's going to be a lot easier to copy and paste it. And save that. Oh, and also just to make you aware, this is one line. Let's just wrap it around. Okay, so we get that set up. We got to enable some more modules. A2, so sudo A2 nmod actions fastcgi alias. Oh, it's already enabled. Okay. Sudo A2 nconf php 5-fpm Okay, so that's enabled. Sudo service Apache 2 and restart Apache again. Okay, there we go. Next up, I'm going to do some testing to make sure Apache and PHP are working at this point. Okay, now for some testing. So I happen to know I can run a simple command, ifconfig-a, and I can see here's my address for this server, 192.168.0.16. And so I can bring that up in my web browser just to confirm that Apache is working. So the next thing I want to do is actually confirm that PHP is working on the machine. So one simple way to do that is I can do sudo var www HTML, and this is kind of the base default directory for Apache, and I can do php info.php, and I'll just make a simple PHP file, php info, and that should be it. So save that off. Change the owner of it. Sudo change owner -r www.data -data. That's the user and the group. var HTML. And the -r is to do it recursively down the line, so that'll do all the files in there. Okay, so that should be good. So now I should be able to go in here and open up php info.php, the file I just made, and hopefully, there we go, it works. And this gives me all kinds of information on the PHP, so it's a nice little tool to use to confirm PHP is running and to know all the settings it's running underneath. That's kind of nice. Okay, so we know that's working. Next, I'm going to go install MySQL. Okay, let me install MySQL now. So sudo apt-get install -yes. Install MySQL server and MySQL client. Should work. Now, at some point during this install process, it will ask you to put in a root password for the database. So I'll do that here. Now, I don't intend this database to be around very long, so I'm just going to give it the password, my password. Don't you do that, but just for testing, that's fine. I just want to do something that I'll remember. This server's not going to last very long. Put the password in again, hit OK, let it install. Okay, so now we should have the database, and we can prove it out real quickly. So you can do MySQL and -user root -p, and that should log you in. Have to try to do the right password. Okay, and then let's see, get to use to Postgres. Let's see, exit. Okay, that worked. Okay, so we know it's working. Now, a lot of these databases, especially MySQL, puts a lot of default junk in there, and so there actually is a nice command to clean it up, which is a good idea. And so MySQL secure installation, so you want to run that whenever you install this, even if you're just fiddling with this. Don't change the root password in my case. Remove anonymous users, yes. Disallow root login, yes. Oh, remotely, yeah. I don't want to allow remote login for my purposes. Remove testbed database, yes. Reload privilege tables, yes. Okay, so that should do most of that cleaning up. Okay, so now that we have that working, I want to actually set up a database that osTicket can talk to. So we need to log back into the database, MySQL-u root-p. There we go. Now I want to create the database, but I want to also create the user. So, well, we'll do it here. Create database osTicketDB. Now, it doesn't need to be called osTicketDB. There's a place where you can actually tell it what you want it to be, but in this case, it makes sense to name it something like that. You can name it whatever you want, but you need to recall what you named it. So now we have a database, but now we need to create a user. So I'll do create user who can talk to the database. and I'll call it osTicket user. It doesn't have to be that. You can name it whatever you want, but you need to keep track of it. At localhost identified by and then you put in the password. So I'll call it os password, but that would be the password you'd put in for that user. So the username would be osTicket user, and their password would be os password. But you can set it up to be whatever you want. And then I want to grant all privileges, so all on osTicket DB to osTicket user at localhost. Right? Okay, so now I'm going to grant that user all privileges on the database we just made. And flush privileges. And exit. Okay. So keep note of all that information because you're going to need that later. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is actually download osTicket. Okay, now I need to install osTicket. So the way I did it is I went to osticket.com. And osTicket is the open source version, and there's a paid for version. You want to download the osTicket unless you want to pay for support. If you want to pay support, go for it. They seem to be a good company. So go here, click on downloads, and there's the self-hosted right here and the cloud-hosted. So on the self-hosted, you'll just click download, and here this information will come up. And here's 192.12. That's the one I want. So I'll just click on download. And you can fill out some information here if you want, but you can kind of scroll down and say no thanks if you want to. So I hit no thanks. And then we start to download. So I'll come down here and I'll actually cancel or pause it. And I'll go to... Okay, how do I do that again? Well, I can just go here. So if it didn't start downloading, here's the manual. So I just want the actual URL where it's downloading from. So you can right click here and copy the link address. And that's kind of what I did. And then I can go over here and I can type wget, paste that whole address, and that should download the zip file. And there we go. Okay, now that we've got it, let's install it. So we can do unzip osTicket. That unzipped everything. So now I should have an osTicket. Back up. So I unzipped it, that's right. And now I have the upload file. Sorry, there's this upload file right there. That's what I need. So I need to find a place to put it. So in my case, I just have a basic Apache install. So I'll do a make directory at var www html osTicket. So I'll just make a directory right there. And then I'll move upload, everything in upload to var html osTicket. Just move it down into there. And then I'll change the owner to the Apache owner there. HTML osTicket. There we go. And now, at this point, I kind of need to reboot. So I've had problems where I tried to just restart Apache, didn't like it, so I've just been reboot the whole system. So should get back up here. It's back up. Okay, there it's back up. So now we just want to make sure it's installed. So I can go down here to here and go osTicket and open it up, and I should see some information. Perfect. So now when you see this information, it actually gives you some instructions. Let's see. Make sure I'm telling you right. Okay, so here you go. It looks like everything, all your prerequisites are fine. You got PHP 5. As long as you have all these checkboxes, you should be good at this point. Click continue, and it gives you some information on some things that you should do. And here's basically, here's what I did to accomplish that. So we do cd var www HTML osTicket. So now I'm in that folder. And sudo copy include os sample config. And I'm moving that to osTconfig.php. I guess it gives you a sample file in there and you need to actually make it active by renaming it. Okay, so we've copied that over. We want to change mod to 644, the include, and the file we just made, the osTconfig. And then we want to change the owner, data, actually just everything in here, var, just for convenience. So now we should be good. And then we come back here and hit continue. Oh, write access required to continue. Did I do 6.6? Oh, it says I got the wrong access on OST. Oh, well I didn't get, okay. That's why right there it's root. I didn't change mod correctly. Oh. I didn't do recursive. That might work now. Okay, that looks better. Now I come back here and hit continue here. It'll check. Okay, it checked. Okay, good. So now you're at this point. So now here's some information you need to fill out. So that'll be the next section here, how to fill out this information. Okay, here's some information you can fill out. So I'm going to put some generic information here. So give your help desk a name. I'll call mine Whiteboard Coder. Give it a default email. I'll just give it that. Put in, now there's the primary admin user. So you can put in your name in here. So I'll just put in my name. And then you put in that address, and that address has to be different than your main address here for some reason. The default email, I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. Give yourself a user, and then give yourself a password. I'll just make it my password again for right now. And then when you come down here, you have your MySQL databases. And so now, hopefully I'll put an overlay here that will show the MySQL commands that we did to create a database. And so we want to actually refer to that same database that we made. So it kind of erased some stuff here. So I'm going to put this back. I don't know why it wiped that out. But when it makes this database, you can put a little bit of information in front of every single table. So here they just put OST for osTicket. So that means every single table will have OST underscore in front of the name. Not a big deal. Just the way they did it. Localhost name. Yeah, mine's on my localhost. That's the way I'm doing it on this guy. So my Apache, my PHP, and my MySQL are all running on the same server. That's why I'm doing localhost. MySQL database. So we called mine osTicket DB. So you got to put osTicket DB. And then you got to put in the MySQL username you gave permission to that database. And in my case, that is osTicket user. And then put in the password. And then hit install now. And if that's all correct, it should get to the next part. Oop, didn't like it. Error install an account. Okay, it didn't like. So if you have this happen, this means it didn't like my username. So I might have run that incorrectly. Let me see. osTicket user. My password. Try it again. Didn't like it again. Okay, well if you're in that case, there's a way to test that. So let me pause for a second and do a few tests and I'll show you exactly what's going on. Okay, I think I see what I did wrong. So I was putting in the wrong password. So the password I put in for this user was OS password. That's my own fault. So hopefully this works now. And click install now and there we go. Congratulations, you are good to go. One other piece of information I found somewhere is you want to remove the setup information. So once you're at this point, it looks good. Come back here. Of course, I was in MySQL, so get out of that if you're in that. And then do sudo remove -r var www.html osTicket, and there's a setup folder. And so that, I guess, puts some setup information in there that you don't want to keep around. So apparently they said just to remove that. So remove that like that. And let's see. Okay, so that's it for this section. So the next thing I'm going to do is fix the sendmail command so we can actually use osTicket on this box to send emails out. Okay, I'm going to install sendmail, which osTicket's going to use to send emails out. And I'm going to set up sendmail so it uses my Gmail account. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let's see. Sudo apt-get install sendmail and mailutils. Oh, there we go. And sendmail-bin. Oh, how about get? That might be better. Oh, should have done a -yes on that, but I didn't. I forgot. Okay, so then you want to switch over to root. So sudo switch user root. And I need to make a directory. -m 700, etc. Mail, auto, right, authinfo. Right? That's right. Okay, and then cd into that. So now we're in there. So now we make a gmail -auth file, and you can place the following in there. Let me copy and paste it so I show you correctly. So you put your auth information here. So the user's root, the right here is you put your Gmail account. So if your Gmail account was bob at Gmail, this is what you would do. And if your password was monkeys, that's what you can do. And then that's what you need to authorize this to use your There's a little bit more setup, and we'll do it in a second, but this is your configuration file to do that. I'll, of course, change it to my own and not show you my username and password because that would be stupid. But that's kind of all you need to do here. Now, at this level, now, of course, on your own account, your own Gmail account, I'm not going to go over it, but you do need to set it up so it can do pop and imap. And I went over a little bit of that in my blog post, but I'm not going to go over it in here because it's just too much to explain. It's not too hard to do, but you can do it yourself. But anyway, let me save that, and I will pause it for a second and actually fix it to what mine should be. Okay, so now that you have that, you can run this command. Let's see, make map hash gmail auth, the file we just made, and put in the Gmail auth, right? Okay. That should be right. Now, the next thing we do is a little more fun. I have to edit a file. Sendmail.mc. So open up this file. And then you just scroll down to where you can find mailer definition. Right there. Oh. Let me get the line numbers so you can see. Right now, on mine it's line number 101, which is basically the bottom, huh? We have to place it right below it. So, and I'll put this in the show notes. It's kind of a big cut and paste. I'm not a sendmail expert, so I can decipher some of it, but this is basically information on how to attach to Gmail. I know Gmail will work on port 587, so that's that's just Gmail information they need. And also it tells you where your Gmail authorization file is. So that's done, and I'll put that in the show notes. And then you need to go run make -C, etc. mail. Okay, so that got done. And then service sendmail Reload. Okay. And then we can do a quick test. So we can do echo just a test, and then pipe that into mail-s, send mail, gmail, relay. I think that's the subject line. And then put in your email that you are using. Yeah. And then hit enter. And that actually went pretty quick. That went too quick. Okay, let me go see if that worked. Okay, I'm not used to that working. It actually worked. I went to my email and I can open it up, and there it is. Just a test. It worked just fine. I've had problems in the past, and I was trying to replicate it, but I didn't want to replicate today. But I'll show you anyway. So I'll exit out of here. And what you can do is, I was having sendmail work very, very slowly. And the reason it was working so slowly, let's clear this out, was you could see that it was not working quickly because I could grep a file. I could say grep-n sleeping for a retry, and look at var log mail dash log. Oh, need a space. Let me correct that. Okay, I guess I didn't find it. But if you run this grep and you find some errors, and I found a bunch that one time I was trying to do it, it was because I had a problem in my etc host file. So what if you have this experience, and I think I put some notes on it on my blog site, what you want to do is get your host name. And so on this server, it's called basic server name is the name of this server. And then you want to do sudo vi etc hosts. And at the bottom, you want to put something like this, 127.0.0.1 and the host name, because it had a problem not knowing who it was, and so it couldn't send out emails. It was taking, well, it could send out emails, but it was taking forever. So if you have that fixed, a good way to test it is to just sudo echo hi. And so if sudo is working, it should be able to resolve, but you can see right here it wasn't resolving. So I don't know why sendmail worked and it wasn't working before. Or I'm surprised it's working fast because I messed it up. Do I have something else in here? I don't know. Anyway, it's working. Life is good. So now that we know that's working. Okay, next up, we're going to do some tests to make sure that osTicket can send out emails with its own tools using sendmail. Okay, testing. So now let's test. So let's go up here into osTicket and go to osTicket SCP. So that's the SCP should be the admin portion. And then type in your username you made it before. I typed in my password for mine. Oh. I thought, okay, good. So now you can log in. So now you're in the admin tool, not the regular tool. But we want to make sure that things are how they should be. So we can go up here and go on to admin panel. And then go into, look at my cheat sheet. Go into dashboard. And I had a problem with this before when I was trying to figure out how to do setup, so I want to make sure it's okay now. Go to information. And there's the PHP settings. So the CGI fixed path info, I had issues with that, but I don't right now. That's good. The date time zone, I don't care about that at the moment. But the rest of it looks good. So now the next thing I want to do is see if we can send an email out. So click on email over here as a test, and I can do diagnostics. Click on diagnostics, and just send an email out. To P. Bailey. So there we go. Just do a test and send message. And it should go fairly quickly, we hope. Okay, it's taking a little longer than I expected. Oh, encountered an error. Now, if you encounter an error like this, when I was doing some of my tests, usually it's like a send mail thing. It's sending the mail too slowly. So let me go investigate and show what I find, I guess. Okay, this is a perfect example, so I'm kind of glad this messed up. So the email actually went through, but it took so long that it kind of errored out. So I actually screwed up my etc host file. So now if I go here and show you, I can go here and I can send an email out. But I'm not the root user now. For some reason, I guess maybe the root user works and regular user doesn't. But it'll still work, but watch, it just takes a long, long time. It'll eventually go through, and it eventually shows up in my email. But that long waiting period, it kind of is too long for the osTicket program, and it kind of kicks you out to the internal server error. Painfully slow. But just to show you what's going on, so I'll let that go over there. I can do the grep for the sleeping for retry on the varmail log, and now, sudo. And now you can see it. So here's this sleeping for retry. And I can probably do 44. Well, anyway, it's taking too long. It'll eventually go through, but that's going to mess up your system. So you need to actually, see, there it finally went through. So we need to edit the etc host files, and I edited incorrectly. So you need to do 127.00.1, but you also need to put in, aside from localhost, I mean, if you're going to set up like this, so there's localhost.localdomain and localhost. And then the server name, basic server name in my case. Right. I think that's right. Okay. So now if I save that, now if I try to run, if I try to send an email, it should go fairly quickly. There we go. So now we're fixed. So now if I go back into here and do an email test, maybe I should call it test 2.2 or something. Okay, now send message. There we go. That went quick. Test email sent successfully. If I go check my email, take it a second here. Guess I didn't really have to reload it. There we go. So there's the test. Worked just fine. So now we are happy with that. Okay, what are the tests we're going to do? Okay, so now we got that working. We've tested the admin page. Life is good. So now we can go to just the basic page. And so this is what your user would possibly see. So now I'm not an osTicket guy. Someone just asked for my help to set it up so it could talk to Slack. So I had to go learn a few things. And so there's probably some setup here where you could do a sign in or guest user. But as a default, anyone can come in here and open tickets. And that may be what you want. It may not be what you want. But I can come in here and open a ticket and put an email address, put in a phone number, it's broken, and make a service desk ticket, report a problem, and I guess I can upload files too if I want to, and then I can create a ticket. And so now that should go into the system. And the system should be able to email that person out, and whoever is the admin who takes control of it. So it should just work as a decent, this is not the full install guide if you're doing some special things, but at least it gets you running and up, and so you can do some tests, and then you can do some other configurations. based on what you need. Well, and lastly, I just want to re-emphasize that this is probably not the install process you want to use for your live system. It's pretty good, and it may have a lot of aspects that will work on a live system, but some things aren't what you normally would do, like MySQL is running in the same box that osTicket and Apache are. You may want to split those out, but this is good enough to get you started and good enough to get you going. And I hope this tutorial helps someone out there to get this installed. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. To subscribe, just click the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter under the handle @whiteboardcoder.com. View any code I may have thrown up as a gist at GitHub under the username patmandenver, or check out my blog site at whiteboardcoder.com.